All right, let's get started in a comfortable sitting position. And always helpful to have your favorite bolster or prop so that you can give a little bit of height to the pelvis, which allows the hips to relax and makes it a little easier for the back. And then closing the eyes, bringing your awareness inward and beginning to feel the inhale and exhale of breath. And as you breathe, feel a settling into your sit bones, the two bones at the base of the pelvis. And you can think of these two bones like feet, providing stability to your sitting posture. And as you breathe, bringing awareness to the legs and the hip area, making any adjustments to be comfortable, and seeing if you can relax, letting go of any unnecessary tension, creating a solid and steady base for us to sit comfortably. Then bringing your awareness and attention to the spinal column and finding the quality of uprightness, the effort to be tall without tension, and allowing for a softness in the shoulder area, the area of your collarbones and heart. A softness within the throat. And relaxation of the facial muscles. And coming back to the breath. And seeing if you can breathe with your whole body, as if you're breathing through the skin. And from this awareness of breath, we will begin movement. You can open the eyes. And we'll start with a loosening of the neck and shoulders, interlocking your hands and making a big circle. Noticing the upper back area. You can always move slower or faster than me, opposite direction. And you can always take breaks if you need. Making sure that you're modifying the movements and the postures so that it suits you. And then release your fingers. And now let's roll the shoulders. So rolling them up to the ears, drawing the shoulder blades together and sliding them down the back. A big movement, a circular movement. And now in the opposite direction. So the shoulder blades come together and then we circle towards the front. And one more time. And then let's reach our right fingertips away and tip our head over to the left side. So now coming into the neck area, the side of the neck and along the arm. And then allowing the head to roll down into center. Pausing in center and rolling up through the top of the spine, coming into neutral. And now the other side, our left fingertips away, our head tips over to the right side. And we feel this stretch through the side of the neck. And slow, relaxed breathing and full awareness in the neck area. And then we'll allow the head to roll down into center, pause. And roll up into neutral. And then let's stretch the spine. Stretching the arms upward, stretching the whole of the spine. And release on the exhale. 3 times with your breath. Follow your own breath rhythm. Think of staying connected through the sit bones even as you extend the arms upward. And then release your arms. And bringing both hands to the right thigh and making a circle around the right thigh, bringing awareness into the back area. And in the other direction. And then we switch sides. And of course, it might look different for you because you have a different body than me. So always adjusting in the opposite direction and working within your capacity and whatever range is available. And now we're going to shake our hands and our fingers. We're going to shake off any of the cumulative stress of sleep or the last week or any cumulative stress up until now. Think of shaking it off of your fingers, shaking it out of your body. You can get your whole arm into the movement. And you might notice your breath deepens, maybe your heartbeat quickens. And in a moment, we'll be able to feel all the blood circulation into our arms and fingers, palms, wrists. So now rest your hands, close your eyes, and feel the sensation of blood circulating. And now we're going to do the same thing with our legs. So you can open your eyes and stretch out your legs. And we're going to tap the calf muscles and the hamstring muscles against the floor. And then we're going to swing the feet, the toes together and apart, loosening the thigh muscles over the thigh bones and the legs within the hip joint. And we're increasing circulation to the legs now. Now coming into butterfly with the soles of the feet together. You can bring the feet closer together or you can have them farther away. And a movement that feels right for you. An up and down movement. Encouraging the hips to be more open, more flexible. Waking up the inner thighs. If you have a meditation before you meditate, you'll notice that it really helps you to sit with more. Recently at a yoga ashram and we did a lot of sitting, and I really noticed how beneficial butterfly is to really help with the hips. So now we're going to have the feet in front, wide apart. We're going to lean back into the arms and we're going to rotate the knees from one side to the other. And the first time you do it, you might notice that your hips or your feet shift. And once you find the right distance apart, you might be able to do this movement, keeping your heels touching the floor and just moving the knees from one side to the other. We want to loosen up the joints, warm up the muscles before we do some of the more classical postures. So next we're going to come on to our hands and knees for our cat pose. So we'll stretch the front of the body, looking up with the eyes. Feel the stretch across the belly and into the heart area. And as you exhale, sink back into child's pose. Head towards the ground. Let your weight sink into the heels. And on the impulse of the inhale, again, stretching the front. And on the impulse of the exhale,
Back into child's pose. You can take a few breaths in between.
Move at your own pace. And one more time.
Now we're gonna bring our hands towards our knees and we're gonna slowly roll up through the spine.
And next we're going to tuck the toes under to stretch the feet. This can be an intense stretch for many people and how we're stretching the foot soles. Really good for the arches of the feet. So if it's too intense, bring the weight forward into your palms just by leaning forward like this. Some of you will be able to really bring the weight into your heels. And if you'd like, you can rest your hands on your thighs or together in front of the heart. We're stretching the toes, we're stretching the foot soles. And now let's release and tap the tops of your feet. And we come back onto our hands and knees. This next one is a movement for the core. So draw the abdomen in. That helps to support the low back. Make sure you're not dropping your head forward. So press the hands into the floor. So there's lots of strength across the shoulder blades and in the upper back. Look back as you reach your right leg back and make sure that you're not lifting the leg higher than your hip joint. And the opposite arm reaches forward. So your left arm reaches forward. Lots going on here. Breathing as you're holding this balanced position. And then we come to the other side. You can hold for less time if that's easier. Looking back, making sure that we're not lifting the hip. If we're lifting the hip, then it takes it out of the core work. And then we're using the leg muscles and the buttock. But here we really want to engage more of the core. So you're going to continue to alternate. Holding for a few breaths on each side. Alternate limb movements are also good for the brain. And we're going to do this one more time on both sides. And this time, think of reaching and stretching from your heel out through the fingertips. And then after you've completed an equal number on both sides, let's spread the knees apart, toes together, and sink back into child's pose, resting. Now we're going to reach our arms forward and shift our weight forward and lower onto the front. So arms beside the body, palms facing up. Feet can be together or apart. As you breathe in, the whole body lifts. As you breathe out, the whole body releases down. You'll do that a few times at your own pace, lifting and lowering with your breath. And the next time you can try it as a pose, meaning that you hold the position but not the breath. And then release. Allow your feet to be wide. Allow your shoulders to release towards the mat. You can turn your head to one side. Release all tension from the back of the body. And now roll onto one side so that you're facing the screen. I don't know if that will be your left or right. So you'll roll onto one side. We're going to keep our hand in front here. Feet together. Flex your feet so your toes are pointing towards you. And now lift both legs off the ground. Not holding the breath. See if you can release tension from the shoulders. Notice where you feel the strength that allows you to lift both feet and legs. And then lower. We're going to try that twice more. Lifting, breathing, relaxing, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the face, and then allowing the legs to release. And one more time. Lifting, breathing, smiling, and lowering. Good, and while we're here, let's do the movement, this beautiful movement for the hip, arm and leg towards one another and away from one another, harmonizing with the inhale and exhale of breath. Three times. Last time. And then roll onto your front. Elbows can be wide, head on top of both palms. Release and relax. Take a few deep breaths. And now roll on to the other side. You might not be facing the screen, but you know what to do now. And I'll give you instruction. Our top hand is in front of us to give us stability.
We point our toes towards us, flexing the feet, and then we lift both legs off the ground and breathe. So we're not holding the breath, and we're noticing where the muscles are engaging. So for me, I feel it in the inner thighs and into the core muscles. And then release your legs down. And we'll do it twice more. Lifting, breathing, smiling, and releasing the legs down. And one more time. Lifting, breathing, smiling, and releasing. And just like we did on the other side, we'll do the hip movement for the hips and shoulders and legs. Inhale, arm and leg towards one another. On the exhale, releasing arm and leg back. And again, with your breath. And 3 times more. Last time. So now we're going to roll onto our back rather than our front. We're going to do a little more work for the core, some work for the abdomen. So we're going to start with bridge pose, where the knees are bent, feet are hip width apart, and walk your heels a little closer towards you. Imagine that you have a ball, a soccer ball between your knees, and you have to hold it in place. And this makes sure that when we lift, we're not splaying the knees outward. Inhale, lifting the pelvis upward as high as you're able to lift without strain. And on the exhale, lowering the spine and the pelvis down. So this is the movement. You'll do it a few times with your own rhythm. And becoming aware and conscious of what you feel. And after a few times, we'll come into this as a pose. So lifting the pelvis as high as you're able. I like to hold onto my ankles. You can also interlock your hands underneath of your pelvis, or you can even reach your arms to the floor behind you. So lots of variations and options. You can see what works best for you. And then slowly lowering the spine and the pelvis down. And then drawing the knees to the chest and letting your
body roll from one side to the other. This provides a nice massage for the low part of the back. Well, for the whole part of the back. It gives us a little break before the next movement that we'll do. So now arms relax beside you, legs extend up to the ceiling, and we're going to press our belly button towards the floor. So we're really trying to flatten the low back and just keep pressing. If this doesn't feel comfortable for you, you can always prop your pelvis up with a cushion or pillow to make it a little bit easier. Just take a few breaths as you press your lower belly into the floor. And now we'll rotate the legs as if we're riding a bicycle. A big circle, pressing up through the heels, making the circle as wide as you comfortably can. And you'll notice this movement is not just for the legs, but also the abdomen. If you need to rest, you can. And we'll also try in the opposite direction. And then let's allow the feet to relax onto the floor. Relax the abdomen and belly. And take a few deep breaths. So now we're going to roll onto our front. We're going to complete the back work that we started. Coming into Cobra. Feet can be wide, hands underneath of your shoulders, and make sure that the shoulder blades are far down the back, so away from the ears. And press the pelvis into the floor as you lift up in Cobra. It can be a small lift. We all have a different range and capacity. Shoulders away from the ears, breathing throughout as we're holding this position and lowering down. Let's try Cobra one more time, pressing the pelvis into the floor, coming into a back bend. Chest reaching forward in our back bend. Shoulders away from the ears. And then release the head and chest down. Press onto your hands and knees. And sink back into child's pose. Now coming on to the hands and knees. You can do a low version of downward dog, or if you are up for it, we'll do the regular version of downward dog. And today you might want to try a variation where we come up onto our toes, we bend the knees, and we press the chest towards the thighs. So take 3 breaths, heels lifting, knees slightly bent, using your arms to press your chest towards your thighs. And now we'll let the heels come as far down as they're able to come. And then dropping both knees and stepping forward with the right foot into a low lunge position. Hands or fingers can be beside your feet, your foot, or they can be resting on your thigh, or you can reach the arms upward. So we're going to come back into our downward dog. I like to come into downward dog from all fours, so you can step back onto the hands and knees, lift up into downward facing dog, and we'll take a few breaths. This really stretches the spine, strengthens the arms, stretches the backs of the legs. So lots going on, and it's an inversion. The head is lower than the heart. So then we'll bring the knees down, step forward with our left foot, and come to whatever variation suits you. And this time we're going to step forward into a forward fold. So you can slide your knee forward. That makes it a little bit easier to step forward. Knees are soft, arms are dangling forward, and your weight is evenly balanced on your feet. Few deep breaths. And then we'll slowly roll up into standing. And one thing we haven't done too much of yet is stretching the sides of the body. So we'll do that now. There's two different ways to do this. The first one is to interlock your hands, first finger and thumb together, and reach the arms upward. So you'll feel a stretch already here. And now we're gonna reach over to the left side, stretching the right side of the body. Breathe, you're not holding your breath. And come back to center. Sometimes it's helpful to do a pose, not 100%, but 60 or 70%. It allows you to relax a little more and find ease, so you're not pushing the body and the body's not resisting. So try that other side, where you go a little bit less, and then you can stay a little bit longer. And then coming back to center, releasing your arms and giving your shoulders a bit of a shrug. Up and down. So the next version of our side bend is interlocking the hands, palms facing up to the sky, reaching both arms up, and then we tip over to the left side. So you might feel this a little bit differently. And coming back to center, to the other side, we stay rooted in our feet, even as we're reaching and bending. And back to center and release. So next we're going to do two movements for hip flexibility, mobility, and strength. It's easiest to do these close to the wall so that you don't have to focus on balance and you can focus more on the flexibility piece. So if you like, you can move close to the wall. You can also do it away from the wall, but it's just a little bit harder. We're going to shift our weight to our left foot and we're going to lift our right knee. And now we're going to move the knee outward to the side. So already we're creating a rotation. And now we're going to lift our ankle as high as you're able comfortably, and it might be a small movement. And then you drop the ankle back to the side position and come back to the front and let your leg relax. And now we come to the other side. So the left knee comes up, it moves out to the side. We rotate and lift our ankle to the height of the knee if possible, or however we're able to. And then we'll drop that ankle below the knee and bring the knee back to the front and relax the foot down. Of course, you might feel a lot of stickiness or awkwardness. It might feel achy. You do it to whatever range you have. This is really good for hip mobility. I do these movements almost every day, and it is so helpful for the arthritis in my hip. So the knee out, up, out, ankle lifts, ankle drops, knee comes back to center, and foot down. And the other side, and this is also activating the deep muscles within the hip joint that sometimes turn off from lack of movement if we do a lot of sitting. So ankle below the knee and knee back to center in the front and then down. So that was for flexibility, external rotation, turning on some of the deeper muscles in the hip joint. The next one is for strength. So we're going to do the movement of a clock. You can think of a clock. You're standing in the center where the arms would be. And we're going to shift our weight to our left foot, and your right toes are going to reach towards 12 o'clock. So this requires a little bit of balance. So 12 o'clock, come back to center. 3 o'clock, out to the side, come back to center. 6 o'clock behind you, come back to center. And then you're going to cross over to 9 o'clock, back to center. And now the other side. So we're adding weight into the hip joint. We're working on balance. Now the left foot, 12 o'clock, center, 9 o'clock, center, 6 o'clock, center, 3 o'clock, center. Okay, so let's do that one more time on each side. You'll notice we're strengthening because we're putting weight onto the hip joint and moving in different areas, shifting the weight. It's strengthening different parts of the hip joint. So we're on our left foot, right foot, 12, center, 3, center, 6, center, 9, center. Some of you might not be able to bend and get much range of movement. The more you practice, the more you'll find the body responds and you might be able to get more range. We're on our right foot. The left foot is at 12 o'clock, center, 9 o'clock, center, 6 o'clock, center, 3 o'clock, center. Good. And now we'll do some basic balancing, really to strengthen the stabilizing muscles in the feet and in the legs, and also to engage the deep muscles that wrap around the hip bones and stabilize the pelvis. So we shift to our left foot and we lift our right foot. Simple as that. You can always use a wall to make it easier. We shift and lift. And we can, some of you might be able to feel this instability as the muscles start to work. We're going to continue that movement, and if it's easy, you add lifting the knee. This adds a little more strengthening and also requires the core muscles. So you're going according to your own pace. You don't have to follow me. We're shifting and lifting. And if you're finding it's easy, what you might want to do is shift and lift and hold. Shift and lift and hold. We'll do it one more time on both sides. And then last one, we'll do balancing and strengthening and stretching all in one, a simple movement. If you are sitting down for a long period of time, this is a great one to do. So simple. So inhale, lift up onto your toes, stretch the body, stretch the spine, strengthening all of the leg muscles, and exhale slowly down. It's not so easy because it involves stretching, strengthening, and balance. Inhale and breath. And don't worry if you come out of balance, that's what we're learning to do. Exhale down, we'll do it twice more. Last one. It's even something that you can do while you're making a cup of coffee. You can do some of these stretching movements in the morning. Maybe you don't have time for 20 minutes of yoga, but you can stretch the spine, do some side bending, just get a little bit of stretching and opening in those small moments in our day. Okay, let's come down into sitting. We're going to do a few seated postures here. So we'll start with a seated twist, bringing your left hand behind you, a right hand on your left thigh, and then think of turning from your belly button, turning over the left thigh, and completing the twist by looking over your left shoulder. And then breathing into the twist. And then unwind. Take a few breaths in center. And the other side. Right hand behind us, left hand on your right thigh. Think of your belly button turning and twisting from your belly button over the right side and head completing the twist. And then unwind, coming back into center, taking a few relaxed breaths in center. We're going to extend our right leg out. So our left heel is tucked in, our right leg is extended out. We're going to turn so that we're centered over our right leg. For some people, this is enough of a stretch to sit tall, enough of a stretch for the hamstring. Some of you may have a lot more flexibility, so taking a deep breath in and exhale, hinging forward from your hips as far as you're comfortably able to go, even if it's a small movement. And once we find the right position for our body, without pushing or straining, you might find it helpful to close your eyes. Feel and tune into your breath. And then we'll slowly come back. I usually bring my hand underneath of my right knee and help bend the knee. So I'm now extending my left leg and folding my right leg in, turning myself over my left leg, deciding if you'd like to stay here or if you have more flexibility, taking a breath in to lengthen the spine and exhale, leaning forward and finding how much you can lean forward without strain. And then slowly coming back up, using your left hand underneath of the left knee and bending your left knee. We're going to come into a squat. So I need help with my squat. And I recently learned that I need help because I don't have enough ankle flexibility. So you can use a little bit of height underneath of your heels if that's the case for you, or however you'd like to come into a squat, and see if you can find a way to be tall in your squat. And find a way to find ease in your squat. Taking a few deep breaths. And then we're going to come out of our squat and roll onto our backs and do one or two more positions before we come into relaxation pose. So let's start by drawing the knees in, gently hugging, breathing into the low back, feeling the whole of the back. If you have any difficulties with your low back, this simple movement or position can help to release the back. We're going to hold on to our right knee, extend our left leg up to the ceiling, and slowly lower the left leg all the way down, right until the left heel touches the ground. And then let's take 3 deep breaths. Now you'll gently use your left hand to guide the right knee over and across to the left side. So we come into 1 knee twist. We're going to unwind from our twist. And one more thing for the right leg we're going to do. We're going to bend the knee, foot faces the ceiling, interlock the hands behind the right knee, and press your right thigh towards you. Or you can even hold on to the outside of your right foot. This is half of an inverted squat. Let's take 3 deep breaths. And then release. Let's bring both knees to the chest, just like we did before. You can interlock your hands around both knees. Take a few breaths into the back of your body. And then we're going to hold onto our left knee, extend our right leg up to the sky, slowly lower the right leg all the way down to the ground until your right heel touches. And now take 3 deep breaths. And now we're going to use our right hand to guide the left knee over and across into 1 knee twist. And now we'll unwind. Last position for the left leg, foot up to the ceiling, knee stays bent. interlock your hands behind the left knee, pressing your left thigh towards you, or holding on to the outside of your left foot. And then release your left leg. You can roll on your back a few times from one side to the other and gather any props that you need. We're going to next move into our relaxation pose. Such an important thing to do every day on a regular basis to remove sensory input, to lie comfortably, focus on inhale and exhale of breath. And allow the mind and body to relax completely. Vast blue sky above. Generous and abundant earth below. Breathing in prana, life energy. Breathing in sunshine. Breathing in light. Slowly deepen your breath. Allowing your head to release from one side to the other. Waking up movement in your hands and feet and stretching the spine in whatever way feels natural as you wake up the body. You can roll on your back a few times from one side to the other. Eventually coming into a seated pose and taking a moment to dedicate our practice for the sake of our ancestors, for the sake of future generations, and for the sake of all beings. So thank you. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday morning. It's so nice to be back teaching yoga and teaching on Sunday because I was away, and of course I was sending videos. So wonderful to practice with you.
Thank you, Vera. Thank you. That was great.